Hello and welcome to the Cavern of Terror.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Cavern of Terror, and welcome to my Scream Season 3 Resurrection Episode 1 spoiler review. That was a lot to say. In case you missed it, my last video was my Scream Season 3 Resurrection Episode 1 spoiler-free review. I just basically gave my thoughts on the first episode, and they were positive. I was actually really happy with the first episode of Scream Resurrection. A little bit of backstory here, guys. If you're new to the Cavern of Terror and you don't know, I love Scream. I love the original series a lot. I have reviewed all 4 of the original movies. I've done a commentary for the first one. I have a theories video for Scream. I'm doing the trailer reactions for the original movies right now. And I never really did anything with Scream, the television series. I never reviewed any of the episodes from the first 2 seasons and never really did any videos on them. So when it was announced that Scream Resurrection was coming, I got interested. After such a long hiatus, I really did get interested, and I started doing a bunch of videos on Season 3. I've done a video on the Paris Jackson clip, I reacted to both trailers, so I was intrigued. I was ready to go for this, and after I saw the first episode, guys, I can tell you, I think it's pretty good. Now that you guys have been filled in, I highly suggest that you go and watch the first episode of Scream Resurrection, because from here on, it's going to be spoilers. Okay, so I'm assuming that the people that are still here have seen the first episode of Scream Resurrection, and now we can get into something that I was really interested in when I did my video on the Paris Jackson clip. Was she the opening kill? No. Actually, she wasn't the opening kill. I don't know if this character comes back at this point. I only have seen the first episode. I'm still going to watch 2, 3, and 4 after I get done with this video. So look forward to those videos, guys. But she is actually part of a very extended sequence. She is in this one scene and then it moves on from there. The scene that Paris Jackson is involved with actually takes place years before the events in this first episode, and it is about the childhood of our main character, Dion, and his brother, Marcus. Marcus is actually the one that pulls the prop knife on Paris Jackson in the Ghostface costume, and then shortly after that, he gets his candy stolen, and then he meets back up with Dion, his brother, later, and this leads to one of my favorite scenes in this entire first episode. This is the best thing. This show did not forget how to be meta. Tony Todd is basically once again playing the Candyman. I mean, he has a hook for hand, a legit hook for hand, and he supposedly kills Marcus. After this scene, we are shot to the present day in Scream Resurrection, and we meet up with Dion, who is a lot older here. He's on the football team, he's extremely popular, and we also meet up with the rest of the cast for this season. And I will read off their names because they are kind of hard for me to remember right now. So we have Dion, we have Olivia, which is the new girl, we have Kim, which is one of Dion's friends, we have Beth, who is probably one of my favorite characters. She is the goth girl. And then we have Tyga's character, Jamal, who is revealed to be Dion's half-brother. Amir, which I really like his character, he's the geek, and Tyler Posey, who was not in any of the trailers, and he plays Shane. Let's get into these characters. I actually really enjoyed all of these characters. I thought they were pretty believable. Now, I can be a little bit out of touch, turned 30 years old this year, so I don't really know how high school works with young kids in high school anymore, so I assume that this is pretty close to real life. I feel like these kids are acting like kids from 2019. Like I said, I really liked Beth's character. I thought the goth character was cool and something that we've never seen in a Scream series before. I mean, I guess you can say that Audrey was a goth type character in season 1, but I thought she was more of a punk. This is a legit goth character. And she plays us, sort of. She's the horror fan. We didn't really get that much in her character. This first episode really just set up the whole story and set up the characters. It was basically a pilot episode. So it set up the story, it set up everything we needed to know moving forward. but I really enjoyed her character. She was really funny. We didn't get a lot of Jamal, played by Tyga, who is Dion's half brother. He's pretty much introduced at the end of the first episode. Olivia, who is pretty cool. She's the new girl, but I feel like there should have been a little bit more development with her character. I'll get into that later. Dion, who's played by RJ Seiler, plays Dion. I'm pretty sure he was the one that played the Blue Ranger in the Power Rangers movie. I'm not sure if it was him. Let me know down in the comments down below. But I thought he was great as the lead. I've heard people say that they didn't really like the characters, didn't really like the main character, that all he cared about was football and himself. I think there's more to that. I think there's a reason why he's so closed off, is he just wants to get through school to help his mom. And I can appreciate that, growing up in a single parent household. So, man, I really, really enjoyed his development in the first episode, his involvement with Ghostface. And let me tell you what, we will get to Ghostface. Amir is the geeky kid. He's really into music. He's kind of like a comic relief character. A lot of the scenes that he was in were most of the comical scenes. I don't really know his character too much, but I enjoyed him. And then we had, what's her name? Kim. Kim is the last character. And then there's Manny as well. He's not here. Manny is the gay character. And I didn't really get to know too much about him. I think we were going to go a little bit further with the character development in episode 2, because shit hits the fan by the end of this episode. Then we have Tyler Posey's character. He plays Shane. And he's that one kid that, graduated a couple years before you, and he still hangs out with kids in high school. He's a drug dealer. But I really, really, really enjoyed his performance here. I've seen him in some other things like Teen Wolf. Never saw Truth or Dare. I know he's in that. But I liked him. I really liked him in this first episode, and I don't think he will be here much longer, considering the body count that we're going to have for this. So I think he might go pretty soon. But I really enjoyed his performance because it wasn't what I had seen on Teen Wolf. Teen Wolf, he played like a straight A, good student in school. And this is the complete opposite. I mean, he's a drug dealer. He's going after the goth girl. And his performance was just fun. I really, really liked him. Now we can get into the story. As I said at the very beginning of this, with the flashback sequence, we saw Dion and his twin brother, Marcus, at the very beginning, who was killed, quote unquote, because we still don't know if he's actually dead. I assume that he is actually dead, because that's the way that Dion says it. That was killed by basically Tony Todd. I really hope this character comes back, because you're going to bring in Tony Todd for him just to be in one scene. I highly doubt it. I think he's going to come back later. So Dion has this weight on his shoulders because he thinks that it's his fault that his brother died. And years later, he starts getting harassed by Ghostface. Really, guys, there isn't a whole lot more story here to give you. This first episode was really focusing on Dion's past and why Ghostface is after him, and the relationships between him and his friends. And I like that. As a writer, I really, really, really like it when they build up the characters. As I've said many times, if people don't care about your characters, then they don't care about your fucking story. And I think the characters really pulled it off. They made this episode. And another thing that really made this episode was Ghostface. As you guys know, or it's kind of hard not to know because they have it plastered all over the place, they brought back the original Ghostface mask from the first 4 films. I actually did a video on this about a couple years ago when they first announced it, that the original Ghostface mask was coming back. But not only was that coming back, but Roger L. Jackson is coming back as well. He was the voice of Ghostface in the first 4 Scream films. He unfortunately did not voice the character in the first 2 seasons. I think that had to do with like rights or something. They couldn't use the original Ghostface mask, so they had to come up with something different. That was okay. I thought it was alright, but this is awesome. Roger L. Jackson absolutely kills it. His voice is menacing and dark and bassy and everything I love in a Ghostface. And really, Ghostface, other than the characters, makes this first episode. He is back and he is brutal as hell. I mean, the kills that he does are pretty brutal. I mean, he throws someone off of a balcony type thing. I think it's like a catwalk. And he falls down onto this spike, and you just see blood everywhere. It sprays the side of Beth's face. Ghostface is brutal. I mean, he puts a bag on someone's head and then cuts their throats so the bag fills up with blood and everything. Ghostface is brutal and not fucking around in Scream Resurrection. He is not fucking around. And I really enjoyed what I saw of Ghostface in this first episode. But there is something that I wanted to talk about here. And I might be the only one that noticed it because I followed this franchise so hard. Is the fact that Ghostface actually used notes. Something about "I know what you did" or "trick or treat" or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they said, but it reminded me so much of "I Know What You Did Last Summer." And that's one of the reasons why I thought that this episode didn't really feel like Scream too much until the very end of the first episode. The leaving notes is just not something that Ghostface does. Ghostface was never the one to leave letters for you. That was more of a Hookman thing from "I Know What You Did Last Summer." Ghostface would call you. I mean, it's all over the series. And he would eventually text you, like he did in Scream 4, like they did in the first 2 seasons of Scream the series. So it was a little bit jarring to see someone use notes instead of actually texting or calling them. But this is the brilliant thing here. I think that if I'm right about this, this could take place in the real world, that Scream could be a television series, or Scream could have been an actual film franchise in this universe. And they're playing on the fact that Kevin Williamson wrote them. And if you know Kevin Williamson, you know that he wrote "I Know What You Did Last Summer" too. So if they bring that back in, if they use that, mention, hey, we pulled from other franchises as well, and we're using the note thing from "I Know What You Did Last Summer," I think that's brilliant because it just takes the meta-ness, I don't even know if that's a word, to the next level. I just wanted to talk about the pacing here before we wrap things up because I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about here. I feel like this was rushed a little bit. Some of the character scenes, they come out of nowhere. Like there's a scene where they introduce Olivia's father, who happens to be a cop. And they just cut from a scene with Ghostface, I believe, and they go straight to Olivia and her talking to a cop. They never show where this person came from, where we were, so it was a little bit jarring to see this character, introduced here. And it just didn't work for me. I think it's going to grow on me eventually if this character stays around longer, which I think they will. That actually leads me to another scene that I thought was hilarious, and the scene that really made me love Beth as a character. So I think it's going to be a little tough for me to see her go if she gets killed off, where she talks about horror. She talks about, the final girl, the geek, the quarterback, the star of the show, and talks about her being the horror nerd and knowing everything and what's about to happen. And I thought that was brilliant. Guys, if you take anything from this first episode, that scene right there is probably one of the most A-plus scenes in the show. Going back on this story here, they don't really reveal too much in this first episode. We don't know who's after Dion. They set up a lot of red herrings in this first episode, but a lot of them get killed here. So we don't really know who's coming after Dion, but we think it could be Marcus, which that's weird because he knows that his brother's dead, or it could be Tony Todd's character, which I cannot remember his name at this point. If you know it, let me know down in the comments down below. It could be Tyler Posey. I really enjoy how they're setting up the red herrings and having you interested to see what happens in episode 2. Overall, guys, I really enjoyed this first episode. I'm treating it as a pilot since this is called Scream Resurrection, resurrecting this series. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see the second episode. I liked all the little plot threads that they set up. I liked the brutality of Ghostface, really liked the characters. Thought the writing was pretty good. The pacing could be a little bit better. They could slow it down a little bit, but I don't think that's going to happen with only 6 episodes. I really enjoyed it. I would give it a solid at this point. So what do you guys think of Scream Resurrection? Have you seen the first episode? If you have, then you watched this whole video, and you can let me know down in the comments down below what you thought. Of course, I'm going to do spoiler reviews for episodes 2 through 6, so look forward to those videos. If you like this video, guys, make sure you give it a big motherfucking thumbs up. It helps my channel out greatly. And if you like this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. That way you get notified about all my future Scream Resurrection episode reviews and all the other shit I got coming out. And if you want to get yourself a badass Cavern of Terror t-shirt, make sure you hit up the Spreadshirt store link in the description box down below. And also, if you want to follow me on social media, all my links are down there as well. I try to post semi-regularly on Instagram, and I'm starting to get back into Twitter a little bit more. And a lot of you guys have been following me on LetterBoxd, so I really, really appreciate it. So I'm going to start doing some more things on LetterBoxd, maybe writing up my reviews for the Scream series, since I know I got a lot of new subs from the Scream series. Just to let you know, guys, thank you for hitting that subscribe button. I just hit 800 subscribers last week, and I'm up to like 821 now. So the road to 900 is closing very fast. We're getting there. I'm really excited. But most importantly, guys, my name's Zach. This has been the Cavern of Terror. Stay metal, my friends.
3, 2,